Hello, welcome to Jason the Old Millennial. My name is Jason, speaking to you here in my basement in the great state of Kansas. In today's video, I want to review 3 movies that I've seen recently from this last year. One is Mufasa, the Lion King prequel. One is A Real Pain, which got a couple Oscar nominations. And third one is Wallace and Gromit, A Vengeance Most Fowl, that was on Netflix. So yeah, here's my reviews for these 3 movies. Hello everybody, hope everybody's doing well this Saturday afternoon. Had an interesting week. Last Wednesday I had to go to the dentist and I got 2 teeth extracted, so that was an experience I've never had before. So I got 2 less teeth in my mouth over here. Luckily you can't see them, they're in the back. But it definitely hurt my pocketbook, I can tell you that much. But anyways, had a couple of days off. It was really nice and the weather hasn't been too bad. Still pretty cold in the morning, but in the afternoon, not too bad anyways. But yeah, so yeah, I wanted to review 3 movies I saw recently. First one is Mufasa. There might be more to that title, I forget. But obviously this is the prequel to Lion King live action. It's a live action movie, prequel to a live action movie based off a Disney classic from 93 or 94, I think, that I grew up watching, and watched in the movie theater. I wasn't a huge fan of the live action only because it felt like the same movie, but not as funny or as interesting. I felt like they didn't do anything different enough. And I didn't like the live action animals, just didn't have enough facial expressions and stuff like that. So it wasn't as interesting. Same problem I had with Little Mermaid. I thought was a lot worse as a live action than animation. A lot of these movies are just terrible live action when you deal with the animals. Live action animals aren't that interesting, I think, compared to an animated version, Plus, the movie is just an animated movie, basically, just a CGI. It's supposed to look like real CGI lions, unlike a animation movie where it's obviously, a drawing. That's the only difference. So it's like, why make a live action when it's like, we've already done something like this already, and you're basically just doing it, but in a different, I don't know, it's still an animated movie, basically. There's really no real life anything in the movie, it feels like. I'm not sure how they shot it. But anyways, yeah, Mufasa, I thought it was a terrible movie. I kind of knew it was going to be terrible. It got terrible reviews. I've seen some of the worst reviews. I've seen it on the top worst list and all that. And would it make my top worst? Maybe. I don't know. It's definitely towards the bottom of my list of last year. And I had no hype for this movie. I had no expectations for it, really. And it was worse than I expected. I mean, it is so boring. It is really, really boring movie. I just had a hard time getting through it. It was so boring. And it's so long. It felt like, I can't remember how long it was, but it felt like a long, boring movie that was just a slog to get through for me. And like there's musical numbers, and they're not terrible by any means, but they're not memorable. Like I don't remember any of them right now or tell you what they are. I'm not saying they're like horribly sung or written or anything. It's just not like the original Lion King. It just didn't have those classic numbers that I always, you get left with and you think about and you sing to yourself. It didn't have any of that necessarily. The story is just real boring, and it's a story of Mufasa, and the whole story doesn't make sense in the first place, because when you watch the original Lion King in 94, you get the sense that Mufasa is the long line of kings, king lions that are in charge of this Pride Rock area in Africa. That's the sense you get from it, and that it's like this, long tradition passes down from son to son to son. Mufasa's going to pass it down to Simba, and so forth. And he even says, look at the skies and that stars, I think, or something, or like old kings, or something like that. And anyway, so it just feels like, okay, this is just, he was born into a royal family kind of thing. Anyways, but then this prequel kind of does away with all of that and says, no, he's just a normal lion. Whose kind of parents he gets lost and he gets separated in the flood, and I think his parents probably die, but he survives this flood or whatever, and then he meets Tonka, who later becomes Scar, and also you just get the sense that they were brothers, they were biological brothers from the original movie. I never once thought, oh, Mufasa might have been adopted or something like that, and whatever, and he's not really of royal blood. Like that doesn't make any sense to me. Why they decided to go through that? Why they made this movie makes no sense. Like, they did not need to make this movie. It made a lot of money though, so obviously it worked out for them because they made a bunch of money. I think right now it's still #1 in the box office at the moment, so it did very, very well. So I guess I can't, you know, I can't say they shouldn't make it, I guess, because if they made money, they should make it, I suppose. I just don't think it was very good, and I wish people didn't go see it, and because they're gonna make more of this crap. But besides that, yeah, it just didn't make sense, the whole storyline. And yeah, you meet Tonka. He looks nothing like Scar. Like and it's Mufasa's kid, it's Scar's kid, and they don't really look like Mufasa or Scar. Of course, they're just kids that don't have the big mane, so maybe that. But Scar anyways, I don't remember the live action version that well, but I remember, of course, I've seen the original so many times, and in that, of course, Scar is a little more darker fur. His mane is real dark, compared to Mufasa. That's how you tell the two apart. And he's a little skinnier, and all that stuff. You get none of that in this live action, I guess. So even watching it, I'm like, oh, that's Scar. Like, I always forget because I'm like, he doesn't look anything like Scar. And the whole idea is that Mufasa like gets adopted kind of by this royal family, I guess. I didn't quite understand what was going on there. Like, so it seemed like Scar should have been king, not Mufasa. Like, Scar is really like next in line to be king. So it doesn't make sense that Mufasa is the king, and none of it makes sense to me. Yeah, and then there's also this like love triangle between Mufasa and Scar and the female lion that Mufasa marries, and I'm forgetting her name at the moment. Anyways, and so of course we know Mufasa marries her, or I guess whatever you want to call marriages in the animal kingdom, and has Simba, and we know that happens, so we know that's what's going to happen in this movie. There's really no surprise or mystery, like, oh, who's going to go away with this girl? And the idea that Scar is actually in love with her, I don't know. That was like, do we need a love triangle? That's stupid. Yeah, then we get to the ending where they get attacked by this white lion bad guy group. And Mufasa kind of, gives a big speech to all the other animals. And they're like, why should we listen to you, but then the next second they're like, oh, let's listen to him, and we'll make him king. And he kind of gets, even though like I said, kings are usually, royalty is usually passed from birth. It's in the royal family. But in this sense, we're like, oh no, we just kind of elect you king. And he's like, oh, I guess I'll be king. It's just, I don't know, it doesn't fit well for me as a story compared to the original. I don't know. It didn't really fit in with the original story to me. So I kind of hated all of it. And one of the things I really hate is that Tonka/Scar, he actually betrays him to the White Lions. I'm just going to spoil the movie because sorry, but he betrays him to the White Lions. And then the main White Lion leader is going to kill Mufasa, but then Scar has a change of heart and saves Mufasa, which makes no sense to that character. That character is total evil. It kills Mufasa in the original Lion King. Sorry, spoilers. But we hate Scar. And then Scar, like, yeah, why did he all of a sudden have a change of heart? It doesn't make any sense, except that it they need it for the story, so they made it happen. But I thought it was a stupid decision overall. And he even seems kind of like, oh, I'm sorry, and all this. I'm like, he's not sorry. He wants to kill Mufasa. He kills him in the future. So I don't know. That was stupid. Didn't make any sense. And also, the whole movie is told in flashbacks. So and Rafiki's telling it to Simba's son or whatever. And then we get, and that's so we can get Timon and Pumbaa in there. Which this Timon and Pumbaa I don't really care about. It's nothing like the original Timon and Pumbaa. It's so good. But we get this, so every once in a while they'll cut back to Rafiki telling the story, and Timon and Pumbaa can be involved, and because we love Timon and Pumbaa, I guess. And it was just weird going back from flashback to what's going on right now, back to flashback. I didn't like the storytelling overall, but yeah, overall I give this 1 star. It was an absolutely terrible movie. All right, next movie I'm going to talk about is A Real Pain. Yeah, this is one I was interested in because I know it did end up getting Oscar nominations for Best Supporting Actor. Kieran Culkin, who's most likely going to win, and I got nominated for screenplay, original screenplay as well. And I like Jesse Eisenberg for the most part. He can be very good. Like, I love Zombieland. I thought he's great in that. I love Social Network. I thought he's great in that, and he got an Oscar nomination for Social Network. There's an issue with Jesse Eisenberg is he plays the same character in every single movie. He's not any different. And one of the worst performances I've ever seen in my life was when he played Lex Luger in the Batman vs. Superman. That was one of the worst performances I've ever seen. Again, it was him trying to be he's doing Lex Luger, but he's still being Jesse Eisenberg, so it didn't work. And yeah, Jesse Eisenberg is always he can only play these neurotic, anxiety-driven character. That's all he can do. Because maybe that's what he is in real life, I have a feeling. And he does that really well. If you give him the right, like I said, if you give him the right character, he's actually very funny. He's an interesting actor. I like him a lot. I like him in Adventureland. He's really good in Adventureland as well. Another great movie with him in it. So yeah, I really like him and stuff. This I didn't care for just because I just felt like, okay, this is just Jesse Eisenberg being Jesse Eisenberg. Nothing that interesting or new to it. Anyways, and of course, if you know, he wrote and directed this movie and stars in it with Kieran Culkin. So pretty interesting doing all that. I would say as a director, I don't think he's a very good director, but this is his first project. So some actors can get into directing and do great, like Mel Gibson or something, there's a bunch of others, Woody Allen you can look at maybe, or Robert Redford or whatever, Ron Howard, it could happen. You can go from acting to being a really good director. I don't know if not everybody can do that. And I'm thinking Jesse Eisenberg, I don't know if he can do that. He so far has proven that he can't, just out of his first movie. But again, it's a first movie. Maybe he needs to learn a little more and get his craft better or something. I don't know exactly how many chances you give someone like that before you're like, okay, you shouldn't direct anymore. But based on this, he probably would direct more because it's overall success, Oscar nominated, not for directing, but it was in the conversation for Best Picture. So you probably give him a lot of credit for that. But to me, I didn't think it was shot that interestingly, or it just looked like an amateur director to me directing the movie. Nothing exciting there. Also, as a screenplay, I thought it was not a really very good screenplay either. And my biggest problem with this movie, what I hated this movie for, is Kieran Culkin's character is one of the most obnoxious, rude, annoying characters ever put on screen. I absolutely hated this character so much. Every time Kieran Culkin was on screen, I hated it. I hated this character. I want him to go away. Obviously, he was in the major part of the movie, but it was one of those characters that you just absolutely hate. And a lot of it's and Kieran Culkin feels like he's just being Kieran Culkin. It feels like he's the same in every movie too, or TV show I see him in. He always plays real jerky characters that I see, and he's a real jerk character in this. So it felt like, okay, just Jesse and Kieran just being themselves, but I'm not being themselves, but being the kind of persona they always are in movies and TV shows and whatnot. And so it wasn't anything. I don't get this whole best supporting actor thing. He's going to win, and I'm like, I didn't think he did anything special. But the character is just horrible. He seems very outgoing. The whole idea of the movie is that these two cousins who were once close, their grandma dies, and she was from Poland, and they're going to travel to Poland together and go see the house that she grew up in or something like that, and get some deep meaning about their grandma, I guess, and also see the Holocaust stuff and all that, because they're Jewish and their grandma's Jewish, so she had to go through some of that anti-Semitism there as well. So, and they're trying to kind of reconnect a little bit because it seems like they used to be close, but they're not close anymore. And of course, as it goes on, you see there's all this really stuff deep down that's coming up, and they're fighting about it, and they're arguing, and all that stuff, and putting out their issues with each other, kind of in some sense. It's supposed to be kind of a comedy, I think, but I would say I'd never laughed once. I didn't think it was funny at all. And I thought it was very cringe for the most part. A lot of the movie, I was just like, oh God, this is terrible. I hate this scene. I was like, I don't know if this is supposed to be funny, but I'm not laughing. And a lot of it's because of course, like I said, I think his name is Benji in the movie, the Kieran Culkin character. Because Benji is very outgoing. He smokes marijuana. He talks to everybody. He's very nosy. He seems like this almost happy-go-lucky guy, but then he's also you find out he's like just deeply, deeply depressed, and he has a lot of, I don't know if I want to say anger issues. He has a lot of, I don't know what kind of issues, but he has issues where he just explodes, breaks out into these rants and gets angry and says really rude things. So he has some kind of disorder, it seems like, that causes him to, do these terrible things. So he's got a lot of issues down deep inside, you can tell from the character. And it's kind of he's more, brave and bold, like I said, and more outgoing. While the Jesse Eisenberg character, of course, is more shy. He doesn't talk to people as much. He kind of keeps things inside. And he's also has a bunch of anxiety, as I said, as all Jesse Eisenberg characters do. And so he's very, withdrawn more, I would say. and but he's more, he's got like a wife and a kid, or his wife's I think pregnant, and he has a job and all this, while Karen Culkin's character Benji is like doesn't have a job and then has no plan for the future, has no significant relationships or anything. So they're kind of the opposites, I guess. That's the whole idea, is like these opposite cousins, and they're gonna clash and as they travel, and I kind of see that. And yeah, I would not travel with Benji at all. He would drive me nuts, because he does random things that just would drive me nuts as far as traveling, because I've traveled to Europe, and yeah, you need to plan it very well, and you got to pay attention to things, and you got to, it takes a lot of planning to not go crazy in Europe or traveling anywhere like that. And he does things that like they miss their train because of him, or they stay on a train when they're supposed to get off because David falls asleep and Benji doesn't wake him up, and he's like, "Why didn't you wake me up?" And he's like, "Oh, it's okay, we'll just get off the next thing." And it's like, yeah, that makes your traveling is stressful. That makes your traveling experience way more stressful than it needs to be. You need to be very vigilant when you're traveling. And that's like, yeah, if someone did that to me, I would lose it on them. Like, what? Like, you want to, this is the plan, and you went off the plan, and now we got to figure out how to get back. It would drive me crazy. I would hate that. And he's never like really sorry or anything. He's like, "Oh, it'll be okay." It's like, but we don't have tickets on this train. Like, okay, we'll just pretend like, we'll just try to avoid the conductor until the next stop. That's a terrible, terrible idea. And he's a bit hypocritical at times as well. Like I said, what I hate about the characters, they have these moments like they're on a first class, they're in a group. They're traveling in a group in Poland, and they kind of meet these other members. And there's a guy that's the tour guide that he's giving them a lot of information about stuff. And like they're on the train, and Karen Culkin all of a sudden just has this whole meltdown, and he's angry that they're traveling first class. And it doesn't make any sense. It's like, what is his problem? And yeah, it's just horrible. And then he gets in first class because they stow away basically on this train. They don't have a ticket for it, so they're doing it illegally. And he goes and sits in first class, and they're like, "Aren't you mad that we're in first class?" He's like, "No, we earned it because, we're cheating the system." And it's like, what a stupid, hypocritical person. I really hate this guy. That's what I thought the whole time. And there's other moments, like, I hate what he does, because I love going on tours. I love having a tour guide who's telling you all the history, because I love history. I love him explaining the history and learning about it. And so he's giving off this history stuff, and Karen Culkin explodes on him, like, you're taking away, you giving me all this history is like taking away from the experience or something, like, and we're seeing all this tourist areas, and we're not really, getting the experience of what it's like to be in Poland, which that's true. I mean, if you want to really know what it's like to be in a country, it's best just go on your own maybe, and just like explore on yourself and not being a tour. Because of course, if you're in a tour, you're just going to see the touristy places. That's true. But I kind of like that, because I love learning about history. So I love having a tour guide who's telling me historical stuff. I love seeing all the historical touristy stuff. I love that. That's me. But I kind of get what he's saying somewhat. But yeah, he's being very rude to the tour guide. I was like, that is unacceptable to be that rude to the tour guide who's just doing his job. Like, that is a horrible thing to do. And I was like, he should have been kicked off the tour. Like, I don't know if they can do that, but I'm like, he should be just kicked off. Or the group should be like, let's just leave this guy. He's being horrible to everybody. And so that's what I hate about him. He's almost like bipolar. Like, one second he seems really nice and outgoing and cool, and then the next second he's just angry, and he just, and it's for some self-righteous reason. It's like he's very self-righteous. Look at me. I'm, I think I know better. I hate that character. I know I've said it so many times, but I just do. I just really hate him. That ruined the whole movie for me. Plus the movie, it was like, there's so much of the movie where we're just exploring like different areas in Poland. So it felt like I was watching a tourism of Poland, not a movie. I'm like, if I want to watch a tourism of Poland, I would go to YouTube and watch, click, Poland, or something like that, and watch a video of someone talking about Poland and going through historical areas like that. I would love to go to Poland and explore, and, but if I'm watching a movie, I don't need to watch a tour of Poland. But I felt like most of the movie was just them walking around looking at stuff, in Poland. And it just felt like filler stuff. And I was like, gosh, like, this, again, I think Jesse Eisenberg, just first-time director, first-time writer, just doesn't know what he's doing yet. And that's kind of, I can see that in the movie, that it's like, okay. And then, okay, now I'll try to, get to the next review here. And then they get to the end, and, they have some very deep fights and discussions, and I won't go into all that. But then they get back to the airport in America, and there's kind of this idea of like, oh, they need to see each other more. Like, like Kieran, I think says, or Benji, whatever says, like, we used to, be close, and now we never talk. So it's kind of the idea is like, oh yeah, let's, hang out, let's talk, let's see each other more often, kind of thing. But then and at the end, he's like, hey, I'll give you a ride to, wherever you need to go. And Kieran Culkin's character is like, no, I'm just gonna sit in the airport, and just hang out here. And which makes no sense. I don't quite understand what that's about or what that means. And so, okay, so they split up, they go their separate ways, and Jesse Eisenberg goes off, and it just ends with Kieran Culkin just sitting in an airport. And I don't know why he did that or what that's about. It just felt like there's no closure or no satisfactory, like nothing changed. Like everything seems the same. Like what was the point of this whole movie? I thought the whole point was like, okay, we're gonna, talk about some deep issues that are going on between the two characters and resolve. I guess that's the word I'm looking for. I thought there would be some kind of resolve to the issues, but I feel like none of the issues got resolved. It's just, okay, they're gonna go separate ways and we don't know what's gonna happen to them. So it wasn't really a satisfactory ending or happy ending to it. Yeah, so I really did not like this movie. So I'm also giving this a 1-star review out of 5. All right, the last movie I'm gonna review is a Netflix animation, stop motion animation, that is Wallace and Gromit, Vengeance Most Fowl. And I am a fan of the Wallace and Gromit shorts and movies. I guess this is only the second movie they made. First one was really good. It won the Oscar for Best Anime Movie. The Curse of the Were-Rabbit, really good movie. One I need to get at some point on Blu-ray. Yeah, I do love the Wallace and Gromit characters, how Wallace, he talks, and he's an inventor and all this, and Gromit can't talk, but he says so much just in his eyes, the way his eyes look, which is really cool about the animation. He can give everything you need just by the way his eyes look and how they widen or whatever. Or, he can look mad, sad, happy, I don't know, surprised, angry. He can do it all just in his eyes, which is incredible. I love Gromit. He's probably my favorite character in the movies and shorts and stuff. But yeah, this one, he invents a kind of AI gnome called Norbert, I think it's called. And he invented him so he can do all the gardening, and so to help Gromit out. So I think Gromit gets, of course, if you like to garden, you enjoy doing it, but you don't want someone just doing everything for yourself. You enjoy doing it yourself. So it's really, and again, Ross is kind of a jerk in a little bit because I like that he's, not really looking out for Gromit, or he's not really thinking about Gromit's feelings at all. And like, there's one point where he's like, "Oh, do you want a pat on the head? You want to be petted?" Because dogs love being petted, And of course, Gromit's like really excited, like, "Yeah, I love to be petted, like my dogs love being petted, And he has an invention of a hand petting him. Instead of petting him with his own hand, he has an invention that pets him. And of course, that doesn't satisfy Gromit at all because he wants that connection with the human being. That's why dogs love being petted, because they love that connection with the human being. And so it made me very sad for Gromit. I remember thinking, wow, that's a jerk move. But he doesn't, I know he doesn't mean to, but it's like, just doesn't think about other people's feelings, unfortunately. But anyways, he invents this gnome AI robot thing called Norbert. And Norbert does all, and then other people are like, hey, can you do my landscaping and all that? And so he kind of figures out, oh, I can make money. So then he uses Norbert to make money. It's kind of the main part of the movie. Of course, they bring back the, I forget the name of this, McFeatherton or something like that. This penguin who puts a glove on his head and pretends to be a chicken or something like that. But it's obviously a penguin. But he comes back. He was in one of the shorts. He was famous for like one of the Wallace and Gromit shorts. So it's cool that they brought this character back from a short, and because he's a villain character. He's another villain character who doesn't talk. He does all his acting, I guess you can say, or whatever you want to say, is in its eyes. So it's another really good character, because I kind of like that about this Gromit and this character. Anyways, he's in zoo, which is like jail. And he's trying to, get revenge against Wallace and Gromit. That's why it's called Vengeance Most Fowl. So he kind of figures out a way to hack into the Norbert system, because Gromit plugs Norbert into a computer. So somehow he was able to hack into the Norbert and kind of make him evil. And he creates more Norberts. basically. And but then they do evil things anyways. And Gromit figures it out, but Wallace doesn't, of course, Wallace doesn't believe him until it's too late. And then, of course, the evil penguin gets free of the zoo, and it's all about this diamond. They're trying to grab this diamond that's supposed to be in a safe in a museum or something like that, which I think was the plot of the original short. So I like they're bringing that back, and he's trying to find this diamond or whatever. Anyway, so that's kind of what the plot is about. And overall, it's a really fun movie. Again, if you've seen any of these movies, it's very British humor. Of course, it's this British humor type show. I don't know what it's about. It's just charming. I guess my best word I'd say is just these Wallace and Gromit stuff is just very charming. I love the relationship between Wallace and Gromit. I just love that Wallace does all these inventions. The way that all that works out is really fun. And there's some funny moments where there's a couple of laugh out funny moments here and there that I really enjoy. And the ending was great. Like, there's a great chase scene. And those Wallace and Gromit shorts and movies usually have great chase scenes. And there's one in here where they're chasing the bad guy, and also police are like chasing them. It's a great sequence, how they get out of it and how they kind of get one over on the villain. It's great. And then the ending is so great because Wallace actually pets Gromit at the end. And I was like, oh my gosh, it kind of got me almost emotional. I was like, yes, pet Gromit. Come on, you got to pet Gromit. So I was so happy he petted Gromit at the end. I was like, that was such a great ending. It was very satisfactory. Yeah, it did disappoint. I was hoping to love this movie, and I really did. Another great entry into the Wallace and Gromit series, and hope they do more movies. They don't do too many movies. Like, they did Chicken Run, and then they did that sequel recently, which I thought was okay. I thought it wasn't too bad. And they did other stop motion animation that I don't think has been very good. To me, Chicken Run and Wallace and Gromit has been the two best movies so far that they've done, that company's done. So I'd say do more of these. I mean, even put it on Netflix, whatever. Put it on the movie. I don't care. I'll go see it because I don't think I've seen one bad Wallace and Gromit short or movie so far. So they've been hitting 1,000 on that. So I highly recommend, if you haven't seen it, definitely check out this movie. It's definitely one of the best movies I've seen in a while, so far this year, anyways. And yeah, so I'm gonna give it 3.5 stars, which is a very solid score. 3.5 out of 5. It's one I need to rewatch again, anyways. And it's on Netflix, so I don't know if I'll be able to get Blu-ray on it, but definitely check it out. Anyway, so yeah, that's the 3 movies I'm reviewing today. Hopefully you enjoyed my review on those 3 movies, and get my recommendation or disrecommendation on there. And tell me your thoughts about these movies, what you thought as well. Love to hear your thoughts on these. Besides that, thank you for watching this video. Thank you for liking it. Thank you to all my subscribers for supporting the channel. I hope you have a great weekend.